students of Reddit, what is something your teacher did that really pissed the whole class? Turned off the act of punish for people passing notes. Screamed at the class because he assumed that an intermittent beeping sound that occurred throughout the lecture was somebody receiving texts. It was the projector that he was using, alerting him to the fact that it was overheating. Dumbus. I had a college professor who was teaching a history course to a bunch of education majors in their junior year. She would ask us questions all the time about things she hadn't yet lectured on, and then pull the "really? No one knows the answer to this? Well, I guess we'll just wait for someone to answer." We were all education majors. We knew that trick. We waited her out every single time. She always broke first. Edit. People keep asking what's the trick. This was a poorly executed attempt at using the Socratic method. It's better to have students arrive at an answer themselves than it is to tell them. However, you have to first create an environment of trust and respect so that students are comfortable enough to risk a wrong answer, and you have to be willing to provide a little bit of scaffolding should no one know. This professor did neither of those things. She ended up leaving for her vacation earlier than she thought, so our final projects needed to be done 3 days early. Not a big deal if she hadn't told us with 2 days notice. I don't get how teachers get away with this shit. Numerous times they failed students at an exam, then publicly admitting that passing 40-50% of students that took the exam would be too much, and that's considered normal behavior. I absolutely hate this. There was a teacher at my old university who just so happened to be the father of one of my closest friends. I was very confused in the beginning when everyone hated him because to me, he seemed like a nice guy. I find out later he takes pride in failing his students and will actively fail anyone he feels isn't interested or putting in enough effort. One of my favorite professors said it best. If half your students fail your class, you have failed as an educator for half those students. 40-degree weather, Celsius, in outback Australia, and she won't turn on the aircon in class even though it worked. Her reason was that when she was young she didn't have an aircon, and she survived. All the students hated her. Mine was the reverse. Middle of winter up in the Blue Mountains. Bitch wouldn't turn the heater on in the mornings because she grew up without heated classrooms. And it's like, yeah, but you guys also were allowed to wear giant fucking coats, were you not? Our French teacher held a 5-minute detention for the entire class because we waited outside the classroom for her to let us in. You know, like polite kids do. She claimed we were wasting her time and sent a detention note home to all the parents. Better still, on results day she said, "Wow, I didn't expect you to get an A." Pretty standard teacher stuff. Keeping the whole class in at lunch for something one person had done. It was the fact that the school had very clear behavior/punishment policies that teachers and pupils alike understood. That pissed us off because she blatantly broke them just to prove a point. Edit. To explain what happened in more detail, since folks have questioned someone's phone went off in class at that school at that time, that meant having your phone taken off you and getting it back at the end of the day. Fair dues to someone whose phone it was, however, refused to admit it was them. This pissed the class off to begin with, and the teacher said that we'd all have to come back at lunch. The lesson was after break, so we had another lesson before lunch, and if we didn't, we'd have an hour's detention after school. Being a goody-goody, I didn't want an hour's detention on my record, so I turned up, but did at least start eating my packed lunch, and dared her to tell me not to. I'd like to know if she ever chased up the people who didn't turn up. My German teacher would make you retake spelling tests until you got 100%. Once you did, you could sit and do whatever you like until the whole class got 100%. This caused a lot of pressure on everyone as he used to belittle the students who didn't pass first or the second time. If you was the only one left, he would stand over you and watch you struggle. One test day I decided to bunk off and I got caught. I burst into tears and explained how horrible this teacher was and that I'm never going back into his class. I was moved into a higher set German class with an amazing teacher and my German improved. Oh, this one's a favorite. Post-English class. Break starts. I remain at my desk and do the homework the teacher assigned. Break ends. Teacher comes back, sees I've done the homework already. She waits for all the class to come back. Then she shouts, "Since Emeril 1391 has already done the homework, you all get 2 extra pages." Needless to say, that didn't improve my bullying situation. Edit. Wow, this somehow got more attention than I thought it would. So for clarification, it was middle school in Italy. I was 12 at the time. It definitely was not a lot of homework. Don't remember how much, but probably around 5 pages of English grammar exercises. Fill in the gaps, turn adjective into adverb, etc. So it was easy homework. Most pupils who like the subject would be able to do it in a 15-minute break. Reasons. To this day, I have no clue. But teachers and pupils bullied me terribly in that school. I do remember my parents telling me she was probably bitter because I could speak and understand English better than her. Could have been the case, could have not, I don't remember, but she surely didn't like me. Yelled at me for no reason, called me stupid, laughed when other kids bullied me, or actually got mad at me when I got bullied. It means you did something to piss them off. It's safe to say that this wasn't an actual thought-through pedagogic decision gone wrong. Gave a C to an 85+% test because she gives grades relative to the average performance of a student. What? In order to encourage students to not work hard and better themselves, and also to undermine their efforts of getting into further education. Head teacher of my high school tried to expel me for having an epileptic seizure in front of him. Said I was a danger and distraction to others' pupils and was disrupting his school. I ended up being kept out of school for 2 months while my parents fought my case. In that time, almost all of the rest of the teaching staff, who were furious with this decision, kept me supplied with work and even one-to-one tutoring when needed. This was in a rural area where the next nearest school was 40 miles away, so we had no other school choice.
Subscribe to our channel if you liked our videos. Hit the notification bell to get notified.